let's get it.
Good morning from Marina Del Rey, California, where I live. Put that in the chat if you want to share where you're from and all of that goodness in the chat. That would be awesome. My name is Heather Cook, and I am here on behalf of Sharon and Wes today for our July version of event training and office hours. They may join us, but I know both of them had conflicts, so I will be your speaker today, and I'm going to be the key stakeholders of the entire program. So all goodness. I usually can fill in for folks if they're out. So, because I can talk about event production probably for, I don't know, a couple of weeks if I was needing to. So, hello, Pascal and Tibrukara from Belgium, Eastern Canada. Awesome. Very cool. So, we will get rocking. We have our communications topic, and we can ask me anything at the end. With all of our events, we always have our digital code of conduct where we, respect each other. Feel free to raise your hand, use chat. I'll probably take more questions at the end, but feel free to put them in the chat as we go along. Happy to answer your questions, and thank you for being kind to each other on these calls. It's super important, and there's a lot always going on in the world, so just appreciate everybody's grace and goodness with each other. So thank you for that in advance. The mission of MGCI, which is the Microsoft Global Community Initiative, this is all about working with folks to help event producers, both long time and new, put on events in your local regions. And so we host these trainings, we have blogs, there's networking opportunities, best practices, resources, all for the Microsoft community. This is community led and supported by Microsoft. So we have a board of 10 folks who are all non-Microsoft employees, and then another 65 regional leaders who are all from the community. So you can definitely feel the goodness from the community about people teaching each other and sharing their best practices and lessons learned. Again, feel free to introduce yourself in chat. What's your name? Where are you from? What events do you work on? If you want to promote any of your events, if you want to put your LinkedIn profile in here, everybody can follow each other. All those good things are awesome to do. I also invite everyone to, let's see. Oh, here we go. This is Sharon and Wes, who are your usual trainers. Both of them have had a busy summer, and so I am stepping in for them, but they will be back in September. We are taking a break in August from all of our meetings to kind of get things, revived and zhuzhed, as I like to say, and fixed up. So we'll be taking a break for the summer. Myself, Caruana, and Brian are all part of the Microsoft team that run this. Brian is on vacation right now, and I think on the East Coast, and so he's not here with us this morning. He's usually with me on these calls. So yeah, so a lot of summertime goodness. So and Sicily and Maine. Oh, cool. And France. Yes. August is usually kind of the big break month for many people, especially in Europe too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that myself. I'm taking some time at the end of August. So because I have not done that in a bit this year. So all good. Let me get our topic in here and let me do that. I'm going to re-present because I added a slide that I want to share. The other thing I wanted to point out too, if you haven't done this already, as many of you know, we have a community tenant where we host a lot of these meetings, and user groups have their teams there, and many producers have your teams there. So because of some security initiatives that we have at Microsoft, we are making some changes to the community tenant. We thought we might have to get rid of it altogether, which we were not excited about, and I know that many people were not excited about. However, we've gotten an extension and some changes that we need to make to the community tenant, but it's not completely shutting down, which is wonderful. A couple of things that we've done One is this link here on the AKA Community Hub, which I will put in the chat here in a second because I'm by myself today. So bear with me on clicking all the buttons and pushing all the things. There we go. Yes. So the community tenant, a couple things that are going on. One, we've moved a lot of our postings and event listings and all of those things out to the MGCI Community Hub, which is up on the tech community. So that's our public community platform. If you haven't been up there yet, please do click that link. Give it a follow. That's when you'll be alerted to different things that are going on. If you have become a member of the tech community, if you're becoming a member is really easy. You just pick a handle and add yourself there, and then you can, pick and choose what you want to be alerted about, what things you want to follow. But all the MGCI, the newsletter, the announcements, all of the events and all of that are going to be there. We're turning on some functionality for our board members and regional leaders to be able to blog there. Coming up, that'll light up in September. So I'm really excited about a lot of that stuff. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Also, with the community tenant itself, the one thing that is going to change is that everyone who logs into the community tenant is going to need to have a community tenant login. So if you are a event organizer, or if you're a board member or regional leader, or if you are a user group leader, you will be getting contacted by most likely Brian Hart on my team, and with an email instructions on how to do that. We also have to move all of the guests out of the community tenant. So the emails have not started rolling out yet about how to do this. It needs to happen before October 1st. So there's a bit of runway. I know Brian's going to get cracking on this after he gets back from vacation. So coming soon, some emails about the community tenant and moving, and some changes that are going to have to happen there. But at least we still have it, which is really good. And it's just going to shift a way that you interact with, say, the membership of your user group. But more to come on that. If you have any questions about that, please put them in chat, and I will take care of them as we go. And I hear someone. I don't know if someone is just off mute, or does somebody have a question?
That was me. Sorry.
Hey, no worries. All good. Hi. No problem whatsoever. All good. So let me get going into the topic at hand then. All right. Communications planning for events. Let's get into it. Okay, cool. And yeah, again, please put your questions in the chat, and we'll take them as they come. So this presentation is really looking at effective communication planning for success of community events. So we'll look at, crafting compelling messages, coordinating outreach efforts, how do you leverage feedback, aligning communications with logistics, and then reviewing program plans as well. So this is a little bit of a just an overview of the agenda, kind of like I said, messaging, some strategies, how do you look at and use feedback, how do we coordinate with event logistics, and then looking at other engagement opportunities. So I think thinking about events, stepping back a little bit, you need to think about, what are your audience segments, and who's going to come to your event, and are you thinking about their needs and what they might want, and how you might develop really clear, inclusive, inspiring messages to bring your audiences in. Maybe adapting language and tone for different community groups, depending. If you think about your own event, you probably have a bunch of different types of folks who come, right? There with community events, you have potential who who run a division, that runs all the computers for said company, right? You may have a business owner, a small and medium business, in more local or regional events, right? You get that, the people in the community who maybe have, the local barber shop, that kind of thing. Those folks might be coming and looking for solutions, or looking for simple, even just connections, right? You could have students coming from your local, folks who are in computer science and other things from both your community colleges, or if you have other universities and colleges in your town. You also have people who are in between jobs, or career switching, career looking for something different, or who are making different choices because they're coming back to work. In the case of maybe a woman's coming back, or a man, mom or dad coming back after a pregnancy leave or a paternal leave as well, right? All kinds of folks who might be coming to your event. And so in thinking about attracting people to come to your event, it's good to sort of think through those audiences, and maybe you can, pitch messaging towards those folks in what you may send out. So just sort of really thinking through kind of, I think a really good thing to do. And thinking about, what their needs are as far as maybe it's an age group, right? Maybe it's cultural background. Maybe it's all of the different sort of job types, right? There's different messaging you can use for different people. And the interesting factoid there is that targeted messaging actually increases engagement up to 70%, which I was like, wow, I found that and I was like, that's really interesting. So so identifying your segments and audiences, and because, especially locally, you definitely, depending on where you're putting your information out to, I believe you can't really just rely on social media, your own social media, right? If you have a lot of followers on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, if you have a really hardy blog, you might have a very robust email list. Those are all great, especially for somebody who's really established, right? But when you're trying to get an event kicked off from the beginning, I think you need to lean on other organizations in your community that potentially have been around, and give a lot of extra effort on really building that muscle up and building up as well. So let's see, anything else? Yeah, cool. So yeah, clear, inclusive, and inspiring messaging. Really being clear about, I can tell you all, I've received emails, DMs, blurbs, social media for years and years and years. Probably we've all been on the internet a really long time, right? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten something from someone and there's no date on it. Like there's like, this event is happening here and it's going to be awesome. And I'm like, when is it? And with event communications, the more clear and crisp and over communicating the who, what, where, when, and how basics, the better off you'll be. Because the other thing is when you don't have certain information, that brings the thing that is a big time suck. And what is that? Questions, right? People are always going to ask you a million questions no matter what. But if you are consistently clear and have all the information over and over again, I cannot say this enough. You cannot repeat the 5 W's and the H enough. Who, what, where, when, how. That needs to be in your email, in the post, in the comments, in whatever you're doing, over and over and over again. Truly. And, you can have different messaging at the top that talks about things and that's, specific, and maybe, like looking for college students and come to our event, but you've got to have the basics in there. Anything else? Can I get some hands? Have you gotten things and been like, when the heck is this? So like, and I know it sounds basic, but like it is basic. And so run the basics, right? And I think that is so important. And yeah, you got to, yes, email subject lines, Pete. Yes, including the date and the subject lines. I just created a bunch of meeting requests for an event that a bunch of us are going to go speak at, Microsoft folks. And I ended up sending meeting requests for people to put the actual sessions in people's calendars because it seems like an extra step, and it is, I would say, more tedious work because you have to do each individual one and send it out. I wish there was a bulk scheduler of meeting requests, but that is not something that exists to what I know. But anyway, I did the same thing, and it's in a different time zone than we all live in, and so I went in and I made sure and I put you are speaking at the show, name of the session, and I put in local time, the time of the session locally in the subject line too. There's little tips and tricks like that that just makes so much difference, because I know me when I'm at an event and I'm, running around. Now, a lot of the times a bigger event will have a big event app, right? So you can look through and you can see everything. You can easily see times and changes and rooms and all of that stuff. But, at one of your, a 1 day long event, most likely, maybe you'll have an event app, most likely not, right? But half the time, people are coming to this event. They're trying to is there a QR code? Do I need to bring something? Is it in Eventbrite? What's the deal, right? And where is this? And what's the parking? And, so we have to remember that we're all humans and we're all really busy and we all have 15 million things that we're doing, right? So, and even when you do make it super easy and you repeat it over and over again, people will still get lost. People will still it's just, that's life. However, as an organizer, if you can be super clear on your communications, it just helps. And it's one of those things that people may never ever be like, oh my gosh, your email communications were so clear and wonderful and blah, blah, blah. Maybe you'll hear that, maybe. But it's one of those things that does make a difference, and that's something that people feel because it means that you've taken the time to care about how you communicate to people. And that's something that just, it's there. And I think it's cool. So anyway, let's see what's next on our list. Yeah, adapting language and tone for different groups. Maybe there's, for potentially younger audiences, informal, energetic digital platforms. So, are you putting your stuff out? Are you using TikTok? Are you using Snapchat? Are you using Discord? Are you using Twitch? Is there somebody in your group of people who likes those, who knows those, who already has a following there and could post up something to attract a different audience? So you can definitely take advantage of that potentially, potentially maybe older adults, like formal, maybe, respectful forms, traditional media, more like an email or a LinkedIn, kind of thing. And also, are you making sure that for multilingual messaging, especially depending on your area, how many different languages might you need to put something in specifically so that people can comprehend what you're saying too. So all of those things play into the messaging that you're creating for your audience. Coordinating marketing, social media, and outreach efforts. So a comprehensive integrated plan. It doesn't have to be 14 pages long, to be honest, but it's got to be clear. And you have to decide where you're going to market. And also, there's lots of tools that you can use. Frankly, if you're using Copilot or your other favorite, AI tool, you can literally write a prompt that is, I need a communications plan that includes email, social media, and outreach for this type of event, this date, this, that, and it will give you at least a decent skeleton. And we do have some templates of that sort of thing as well up on our MGCI site that we're gonna actually a couple of things that are kind of cool. I'm taking all of our templates and we're going to have a new page up on the AMC, which is where we showcase all the information about the MGCI, which is that link there. We're going to have a page coming up in September that will have all of the links to all of the general session, PowerPoints and recordings, all of these PowerPoints and recordings, and then all of the templates that we have for communications plans, budgets, social media, all of that stuff. All that's going to have a new page coming in September that I'm very excited about. So anyway, so you'll have an example up there is what I'm saying as well. But truly, you can use a prompt that is literally just what I said. I need a communications plan for, an editorial calendar for email, social media. These are the social media that we're going to use: Facebook, Twitter, and Blue Sky, and yada, yada. Here's the basic who, what, where, when, right? The Y's, the W's, and the H, and put those in there. Please craft a plan for the next 3 months. Literally, you'll have a great template. So if you haven't tried that to see what that looks like, I would give it a go for sure. The other thing is that what I really like to, and I mention this, I think, a lot when I'm talking about the local regional events as well, is that thinking about, you've got communications, which I kind of think about in my brain. I always kind of think of it as email, right? And then, or anything that goes like on, if you're using Eventbrite as a registration tool. And when you, of course, always use www.communitydays.org to list your event, right? Because we all do that. Let me put that in here. So it's writing up the basics, those 5 W's, if I could type community. Sometimes you got to spell community right? .org. There we go. I think I did. There we go. When you list your event on communitydays.org. So, baseline, it's having a document that has the 5 W's and your H on it. Like, what's this event called? Where is it? When is it? All of that kind of stuff. That goes into your communitydays.org listing. That goes into, say, Eventbrite, if you're using Eventbrite for registration. But that's your foundational blueprint, if you will, right? That's the basic information about your event. That is what you take then, and then you add to it with, the different types of amplification, right? So comms, meaning email, then social media, which I call amplification or marketing, if you will. And then there's outreach, which is when you are sending communications out to people in your area to try and either, get in their newsletter or tag on to a list that they have, or posting flyers up on those beautiful community boards and so many businesses and all of that sort of thing, or heading to your chamber of commerce, that kind of thing. So I think in building that integrated communications plan, you want to align everything. You aligning your marketing and amplification, your social media, your outreach, and also thinking about, are there cross-channel, synergies that you have? If you have an event and you're really focused, say, on M365, maybe is there a Power Platform or a SQL Server, or are there other tech events happening in the area that you've looked up? Some of communications planning is simply research, going online and understanding what's going on in your community. Are there other tech events that happen? What's going on at the colleges? Are there things going on at your local library? There's tons and tons of things usually going on that you could either connect into, put a flyer, give a flyer, or ask to be put in someone else's newsletter again, or maybe even that someone would, as a sponsor, you could have one person who's a sponsor, all they do, and they get their logo up on the website, is maybe they let you send an email for you to their list, right? Like, to me, I would absolutely give a sponsor, So, so those are all things to sort of think about there. Cohesive multi-channel campaigns, improve engagement. They really do. I call it a little fly, omni-channel marketing or omni-channel amplification. When I've had my CMO, my chief marketing officer hat on, I think about, that core blueprint of information about what my event is, which starts out with the W's and the H. Then it's in the logistics of the venue and the parking and what's going on. Are we getting fed? Is there a lunch? Is there coffee? coffee, what's the deal with the day, right? That's kind of the section, like, what's the deal with this day, or what's the deal with this event? And then you get into, who's keynoting, who's speaking, what are the topics, what are the different kinds of activities? Will there be vendors with booths? Is there a little mixer afterwards? All of that, right? So you start with the basic blueprint, then you get into the venue and logistics, and then you get into the content and cool and activations and stuff. Those three things are your basic building blocks to your event. And also, if you are working on a cohesive plan, then you don't have things kind of all over the place. I like one document to rule them all. That's just me. So I usually have a base document where all of that stuff lives, and then I pull from it. A lot of cutting and pasting. But then, once you have that, then that becomes the place where everybody pulls from on your potential team that you have that's coordinating things for you. So that's my version of the integrated plan, if you will. So, what are these channels? There's also local newspapers, there's local radio, there's bulletin boards, all of those things, the kind of more traditional, if you will, even sometimes people call them more analog. But I found, local newspapers are great. We have one here in Marina Del Rey. It's called the Argonaut. It's a hilarious, wonderful local paper, and it's a place where you can either buy an ad or potentially talk to somebody about an article. Those are great. Local radio stations too still do advertising, and truly there are bulletin boards all over most people's local town, and so you get some sort of a flyer made. Put a QR code on it, and you put them up in different places, and maybe you get some help doing that. It's also, you can walk into somebody's business. Hey, can I put a flyer up? You get to meet them. You can invite them to the event. And they can invite people who maybe they have a list, that sort of thing. You've got all the digital platforms. People ask me a lot, like, which digital platform should I use? And I say, which one do you like? And also, which one are your people on already? And if you don't know that, that's fine. I'll answer that question a different way. But typically, people do what they know, right? And so I find that, LinkedIn is a great source of connectivity for technology, especially. So, and most people in business have a LinkedIn account, potentially even have a company page account as well. So putting things up on LinkedIn, I think, are really good. But I do think that, for local, more regional, I do think, again, I always talk about, I actually just went to my Venice, California, because I live on the border of like Marina Del Rey and Venice Beach here in Los Angeles. And so I went to the Venice Chamber of Commerce, and it was a swearing in of the new board members. And I went, and I have missed a lot of them because I've been traveling, frankly. But I was so excited I went, and I met so many people, and it was great. And that same week, I also went to our local IAMCP, which is the International, I'll put it in here, IAMCP. You can put that in a search engine and get to it. But IAMCP is the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners. It's a very strong organization. It's been around forever. There's hundreds, and it's worldwide. It's global. And it is a membership, but a lot of times folks will let you come and potentially audit, a meeting and check things out. Yeah, Nikia knows all about IMCP. I was going to the SoCal one here very regularly before the pandemic. And we actually have 3 different ones here. One is SoCal, which is all of Southern California. And there's SoCal North, and then closest as well as we have San Diego. And they're all really strong chapters. And business owners, consultants, Microsoft folks, those are great organizations to tap into. It's awesome. So, I would say that, looking for, your definite digital platforms are social media, but all these organizations and businesses locally have bulletin boards, mailing lists, and a lot of them have events. But I loved my chamber event because I met a ton of people. I'm actually going to see a bunch of those people tonight, funnily enough, at a different mixer. But I also, Dave Levier invited me to the SoCal IMCP North mixer last week, and I popped into that because it was here in Marina Del Rey. I met a whole ton of other people too. So, all of these, it's opportunities always to connect with people locally. And I think, building community, people think of community. Community starts with each one of us, and how we interconnect with the other people in our community. And I think having all of us, just sort of how I think I've even become more insular from, the pandemic. And so I think reconnecting in real life with people is so important. And so you're not only putting on an event, but you're really reconnecting yourself with the community and building something around you. So anyway, good stuff. So let's see, scheduling. That is a terrible graphic. I will tell you what I did on this one is also every slide in here was built by Copilot. I did not build any of these slides. It was one of those that I keep trying to see how it works and see if I like it. And so just so you know, so put in the topic, I put in the blurb, and I went, go. I did not touch any of these slides, which you can kind of tell a little bit too, but just as an example, just food for thought, I'm using the products to give. So I can see what that says on the eye chart there, which is a bad graphic, but you get save the date, right? You're thinking about your schedule. You start with a save the date. You've got the actual invitations, right? So there's save the date, and then there's an invitation, and then there's a reminder, and then there's what that says. Those are the 4 top ones. There's more in between, but I think that when you're thinking about your comms plan too, those 4 nuggets are the 4 pillars or whatever, are the things that you definitely want to have. Save the date, invitation, reminders, and then last call. And then I also like a follow-up afterwards, asking for feedback and saying thank you, right? Gratitude. So we'll put a 5th on there of gratitude and thanks for sure. I think, importance of effective scheduling and synchronization. I think building momentum, having a calendar, synchronizing your messages across multiple channels. What's the timing and impact of these things? So, really making sure that I don't want to annoy people enough to where they're like, oh my goodness, if Heather sends me another email, I don't want that. But you kind of almost want to get to that point in a way, because I don't know. I always am very thankful for the amount of information that people send or reminders and all of that. I never feel like people are bothering me. So that is just me. But I think that's important. And hey, Wes. Nice. Let's see. Oh, there's a couple things in chat. We've used, let's see. Hey, Deb, how do groups reach out to colleges? Yeah, I think for colleges, honestly, there's a couple of things. You need to get to know the administration. Trying to get a meeting with a dean or the communications person at a college or the head of computer science. You can kind of tell by looking on the college website whether or not they have like a computer lab and that kind of thing, or a business school and whatnot. So it's truly about reaching out to those folks and getting to know them and saying, hey, this is what we're doing. Love to partner with you, and like to be able to let your students know what's going on. But yeah, I think getting to know the staff is the same is getting to know anybody is the first thing, but also definitely with colleges, there will be somebody at a college, more than one person probably, that will care about what you're doing, will care about a local event, and will want to have their students go to it. So yeah, leveraging feedback and data. You always want to asking if people really like the event, taking surveys, doing those sorts of things, and so making sure you collect that data. And I find that you kind of have to have a prize to get people to fill stuff out, right? So it doesn't have to be, it can be like a, a $10 or $15 Starbucks card or something like that. But getting data back from people, did they like your event, and making sure you're creating those things early and often. Did you like the communications? Did you feel like we communicated with you enough? Those are great questions to add in as well. So be thinking about that as you're doing it. And some, what's your collection method? What's the data type? If you get this data, are you going to actually do anything with it? And then what are the insights and actions that come out of it, right? So that's a really good thing to be planning as you're thinking about communications, because that could be in your communications as well, right? You can also put something at the bottom. Did you like this email? Was it effective? That kind of thing. Those are always great things. And some people fill out stuff. Some people love filling out surveys, which is fun. This is all getting into like data-driven improvements, like collection, strategy, implementation. It's a little bit heavy on kind of that end of it, but it's good stuff to think about, I think. Let's see here. And the other thing is that, you can have, hopefully, if you're building your community, you can have an ongoing dialogue with them, then you can start asking them questions. You could, did you like the venue? What should we do differently? What would you like to see more of? Thank yous and gratitude, all of that. So if you're doing one event a year, cool. But what happens in between? Is there a local user group? Right? That maybe you click into, or make sure that's invited. Maybe you're the user group leader as well, so you've got something going on year round, right? But how do you kind of keep the momentum going? Do you decide to put an email out once a quarter, just saying hi to people, and maybe here's some cool articles that I've been seeing in the world about XYZ? It doesn't have to be a grind. It doesn't have to be, I have to do a email newsletter, everything. It can be one little just hello, of like, hey, thinking about what a great time we had, 6 months ago or whatever, and we're getting ready to launch the next one and tell you where it is, and maybe even build some excitement, that kind of thing. So those are all, I think, great things that are important to think about. And let's see, aligning communications with logistics and speakers. So just again, you're going to have the communications that are about the event. And then you're going to have speakers that you're dealing with as well. So that's another set of humans you're going to deal with in a different way. Those humans still need all the W's and the H, the logistics, and what's going on, when are they speaking. But that bottom piece about when are they speaking, what's going on, what activations are happening, that gets into speaker comms, right? Speaker communications, for the most part, are pretty much the same. With everyone. There's where you need to be, what kind of equipment's going to be in the room, what you need to bring. Do you need to turn in your slides at some place and some time? Here's some social media graphics so you as a speaker can promote that you're going to be speaking at this event, which also helps with registration. Is there a speaker reception? Are we going to get fed? Is there a speaker room? Just like all that stuff, right? And there's templates for that. We have a template for the speaker communications as well. Again, setting due dates back from the event, putting your project plan together on what you want speakers to do. You're going to probably want their bios. You're probably going to want their headshots. Where do they give that to you? What are you using? If you're using Sessionize for your call for content, that helps because that consumes and brings all of those things in, so that makes it easier. But again, so that's another swim lane of people you're communicating to as well. So you've got promotional materials being accurate, event content and format, when, where, who, all that good jazz. What's the speaker lineup? Are you coordinating and the communications, and then reaching out to those confirmed speakers so they know what the heck's going on, right? Let's see here. What's the equipment? What are the promotional materials? Do they need any training on any key messages that you're trying to get through? You need to make sure any of your volunteers, that's another swim lane of people that you're going to communicate with, telling them what's going on, make sure they're informed, especially if they're volunteering at the event, so that when somebody comes up and asks them a question, they go, here, I have the answer, not, oh, I don't know, we're going to have to ask somebody, and that sort of thing, right? And that comes with a whole other set of communication and information that they should have at their fingertips. I'm a big fan of clipboards, just saying. To have things printed out sometimes on site, I think is really, really helpful so that people can look at something and go, oh, that session is here, or this is where this is, or here's a map and that's where the bathroom is, and that kind of thing, right? Those are the kinds of questions that you're going to get at your event. 6-month program plan. Yeah, most of these, I think 6 months is a good backing up from the event to start. Doing something shorter is tough, I think. So thinking through, what does the 6-month plan look from when you got to get your venue first, pick date and venue. And then you do that open call for speakers and volunteers. So what's the 6-month project plan leading backwards from once you've actually set the date and the venue for the event? Let's see. You also sometimes fun to pick a theme, making sure that, you're sharing, the planning and communications and outreach with your fellow volunteers and your group of folks that are working on the event itself. So making sure they know what's going on. The call for speakers and volunteers, got to write a great invitation so that people get excited, clearly communicate what are the promotion channels. Also looking for, new voices. Maybe you make sure that part of your folks that are speaking have never spoken at an event before. There's great ways to encourage that. I think that's a really great thing to do. So 1 or 2 sessions may be held for somebody who has never spoken before. And you talk about it like that, like we give opportunities in our community for people to learn and give their first presentation. That kind of stuff is really cool. I'm also a big fan of women and allies lunches or sessions, diversity and inclusion sessions, career talk sessions, making sure that those are a part of a technical event, I think are really important and very positive as well. So those are things to think about when you're doing your open call. And inviting people to come in of what kinds of sessions you're looking for as well. That will be part of that call for content. Clear messaging, coordinated outreach, giving opportunities for feedback, collaboration across the different teams, and looking at, what are the different communication swim lanes that you'll have, and just, making sure to get out there and promote. So, yeah, those were the slides for today. Questions, comments? Let's go into the chat and see what we got. We did the local colleges, event date and subject line, IMCP. Yep. Hey, the schedule is up. Yeah, that's a great excuse to hit the list again, Wes. I completely agree. Oh, Deb, you went to the New Hampshire. Yeah, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, recruiting the next generation. I mean, that's that college, I think the other thing is that, some folks have done where there's like a session. It depends on how big the event is and all of that. But sometimes people will do something where it's like bring your kid session for a specific session, maybe for a lunch or something, or at the end of the day. Those are kind of interesting too. And you could always reach out to your local school districts. As well. Some venues, some insurance and all of that stuff, you need to be careful of, like, if you are just having adults, people over 18 to your event and stuff. So there's some things around that you just want to be mindful of around insurance and then venues and stuff. If you're thinking through those things. Hey, Richard. Albuquerque, ALBUQUERQUE. Broadening. Any questions? Any hands? I'm just searching through the chat here. If we get snow in September at your event, Wes, oh my goodness. I mean,
just as shocked as you.
Right. Didn't you used to do them in April? Or you doing them twice a year?
We were doing them twice a year, and it was in the spring and the fall, and they were both snow-capable months. Now we're kind of slid a little bit warmer, so we should be fine.
Yeah. Good. I was there when there was a blizzard years ago.
That was so epic. Day.
It was amazing. It was, everybody just did it, It was like it was pretty fun.
I think we got 15 inches of snow that day.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, I'm from Michigan, and you know, I was like, that was impressive. You know, so yeah. Let's see. I think I looked through the chat. Thank you everybody for talking to each other in the chat. That's what the chat's for during these too. You know, it's like you can listen to me chit chat, but like you can, you know, it's great to see people sharing ideas in chat about different things. So that's awesome. And it seems like, I don't know if there's any actual questions in there, but if you have any, we got 4 minutes left. I'll tell you a couple of things because we're going to have a little bit of a break. And so if you're doing any sort of amplification, y'all, and you have an event coming up, and you would like us to, to put up information about your event on our Microsoft Community LinkedIn channel, through our Microsoft Adoption Twitter handle, do fill out that form. And we are always looking at that to help folks, you know, promote your event, to amplify your event out into the world. People are like, oh, I don't know if I should use that, or how many times I should use it. Use the heck out of it. That's what it's there for. So please check that out. Hey, Hal from Tucson. Hello. And I put that in the chat. So fill that in. So definitely check that out. I just did one for MS Bordeaux. I just put, they put one in, and I just put that out. I know TechCon, Dave Wilhelm's events, he uses it with us too. So definitely, if you have something that's going on that you want promoted, get out there. Also, if you, like I said, we're always looking for feedback, right? And so if you're so moved, there's a QR code there, and then there's an AKA link. So definitely check out that, and give us feedback on these meetings. Do you like them? Do you want us to, you know, do more of them and all that kind of stuff? And do you like everything? So yeah, yes, I will be at TechCon Atlanta, and then also I get to come to Minnesota for Wes and Sarah and all of their event too. I'm really excited about that. So I will be in a couple of places coming up this fall, which I'm excited about. And what else am I doing? Experts Live, New York City. So I'll be in a few of those. Let me see. This is the schedule coming up for these meetings. Again, usually the last Thursday of the month. So we've got graphics and branding, marketing and social media coming up in September and October. So that'll be awesome. Again, break in August, and then in September, October, November, we've got Perla, Nikia, and Augustine all giving general sessions. And say we're going to get you in. Maybe we'll get you in December to get your topic in there, and have you give it from your perspective, because I think I know you're on today, so that would be awesome. So I think we'll do a December meeting if you like for that, which would be great. Yeah, and I think that's it. Yeah, if you're interested in being a general session guest, if you would like to speak on our general sessions and bring up a topic about event organizing or anything else, we're always looking for folks to sign up. So you can do that there. And let's see, is there any other slides? I already talked to you about the M2C. And then if you want to join Microsoft Mondays at Microsoft, Caroline and I every other Monday talking about these topics and more, product releases and all that good stuff on Mondays at Microsoft at 8 a.m., which streams live on both our YouTube channel and our LinkedIn channel. So yeah, that, my friends, is it. There you go. Yeah, communications are no joke, but they're super important. Yeah. So, and again, if you have any other questions, let me know. You always feel free to ping me on LinkedIn or in the MTC. There's one-to-one messaging there too. So, yep. And so no meetings in August. New page with all kinds of templates and stuff coming up in September. And then as you see, we've already got our topics through the end of the year, both general session and event training. So going to be awesome. So yeah, cool. All right, y'all. I'm going to bid you adieu and head into the next meeting and drink some more coffee. So I hope you have a really good day ending out July. I can't believe July flew. It just flew, and we're into August. My goodness. So Anyway, have a good rest of summer or winter, depending on where you are in the world. Really appreciate all of you always coming to these, and we'll get the. I'll be posting this on YouTube, the recap of the on demand and stuff as well. So, all right, take care, everybody. See you out there in the community. Bye.